Hey Peter. So in this video, we're gonna go through a proper home practice session. To get started, we're gonna go through 3 different topics. We're gonna go through warm-ups, we're gonna go through fundamentals, and then lastly, music. So before we actually jump into it, you will need 4 things. I want you to have your Master Trumpet Tuner app, also have your Chromatic fingering chart worksheet ready, have your C major scale worksheet ready, and then lastly, Boogie Woogie Bugle Boy. But starting with warm-ups, to be more specific, we're going to go through long tones, something we have talked about multiple times. But with these long tones, make sure you have your app ready. First thing I want you to do is go up to the settings in the top right-hand corner. Click on that, and then there should be something that says the length of the note. So click on length of the note and change it to long if it's not already set to that. So once you click that, save it, go back to the home screen, and then the last thing you do before we actually jump into it is in the middle of the screen, there should be something that says notation or concert pitch. If it says concert pitch, change it to notation. If it says notation, keep it there. Because when it says that, the length of the note is there, and it tells you the actual note that I want you to read when you're playing it. That's your C. So I want that to be up there. It should be a letter C, a letter B, and a letter G. Now let's get started. What I want you to do for now, we're going to just do a quick exercise starting on your letter G. We're going to go down to your letter C. But this will be chromatic, so that's why you need your fingering chart. I want you to work on playing the center of every note, and we're going to play this together. We're going to start off together, then we're going to do it by call and response. I'll start it, and you go ahead. We're going to hold out every note, 8 counts, and take a quick break, go on to the next one. So, my metronome is set to 60 beats per minute. I want you to hold out every note for 8 counts. So it's going to be 8 clicks. Click, 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 click. So make sure you're taking a big breath. Ready? 1, 2, start with G. Here we go. Rest. 2, now F sharp. F. Rest, then letter E. Next is E flat. D. Then C sharp, ready. Then last one, C. So that's the workout. It's pretty simple, but the key is to make sure you actually have that tuner right in the center. You want to make sure that sound is right there in the center, or at least between those blue lines. The white part is definitely the best. Blue is okay. Anything past that is a little too much, so you want to make sure you're working on that control. So let's do it one last time, but this one is going to be a call and response. I'm going to play the note first. I want you to play right after me. So 8 counts me, you jump right in. 8 counts, next letter, you 8 counts, and so forth. Here we go. 1, 2, start with letter G, listen. G. Then it's back to me. And F. Excellent. I want you to know that letter D and letter C sharp might be really sharp. That does happen from time to time, and that's just a trumpet thing. That's not a personal thing. So if that ever comes out and it's really sharp, you have this third vowel slide right here, that one that you normally put your ring finger in. I put my middle finger just because it's comfortable for me. You want to slide that out sometimes. So in letter D, it'll probably slide out to just about that far, not too much. But then when you go to C sharp, you want to make sure you pull it out even farther, because C sharp will be the sharper one. So C sharp around here, letter D, maybe somewhere around here, and that'll help you out with the tuning as well. But those are the only two notes that you would need to do that for, because it's connected to that third vowel. All right, so step 2, all right, fundamentals. And our fundamentals, we're only gonna go through 2 things. You don't need that master trumpet tuner anymore. That's strictly a warm-up. And you should make sure you do warm up for about 5 to 10 minutes. But step 2, right now you just need your fingering chart and you need your major scale worksheet. So I wanna start with the fingering chart because we're gonna start with chromatic scales. And remember, chromatic just means you're playing every single note, and your fingering chart has every single note. We're gonna go from your low C up to your high C. So there should be 12 different notes. Technically 13 if you include that high C. So with this one, I want you to make sure you hold out every note for 2 counts. So it's gonna be C, C sharp, D, D sharp. Don't worry about the tuner because I want you to play along with this recording with me. So here we go. So you already know what the chromatic scale sounds like. We're just gonna play along still with the metronome with that click. The click's gonna be a little bit faster. So instead of 60, like the last exercise, this time it's gonna be at 80. I want you to hold out every note for 2 counts. Remember, C to your high C. Make sure you're a nice big breath. Support the sound. Ready? 1, 1, 2. Start with C. Ready? Here. And that's the exercise. But let's work on going back down, starting from that high C, going back down to low C, still chromatic. Every note gets 2 counts. Here we go. Nice big breath, starting on that high C, nice and strong. Ready, 1, 2, on high C, 2 counts. Not too bad. So that is our chromatic scale, but now let's move on to our C major scale. So pull up that C major worksheet. It's basically the same activity. You're still going from your low C to your high C, but in this exercise, you're not playing as many notes. So instead of playing 13 notes, now you're only playing 8 different notes. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So make sure you're putting down the correct fingers before we actually jump into it. So think about how to play your letter D, E, F, G, A, B, and then finally your high C. So now it sounds like this. So let's give this one a shot together, and this will be the last fundamental workout, and then we'll move on to the song. So even though we're only doing this a couple times in this video, make sure you do find about hopefully 10 to 15 minutes working on just the fundamentals. So you remember 5 to 10 on a warm-up, 10 to 15 on the fundamentals, and then like maybe a solid 20 to 30 minutes on the actual song. So let's give this one a try. C major. So every note still gets 2 counts. So it's going to be C, D, E, F. Ready. Here we go. 1, 2. Start with C, nice and strong. Not bad. Let's just do it one last time just for the sake of our workout right here. 1, 2, same thing. Up and down. Start on C. Stop. All right, so excellent job with that. And now let's move on to the song, part 3 of our workout today in this video. All right, so to begin this, I actually want to start in just measure number 4. So let's skip the first 3 and hit right at measure 4, starting on your high C. You have C, A, E flat, E, C, A, E flat, E. So those are your 8 notes in that measure. It sounds just like this. C, A, E, flat, E, C, A, E, flat, E. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, ba-dum. And make sure you have your E flat as 2, 3, and your E as 1, 2. So don't get those two mixed up. You're literally rocking those fingers. Alright, so let's start with that. Let's play that together just 2 times. We're going to play it once, break, second time, break, and then we'll try from the beginning and just work on that part. Here we go. Measure 4. 1, 2, start on C, go. Take a break, right? Remember what that feels like. We're working on the accuracy. C, A, E flat, E. Ta, 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 ta. All right, let's try it one last time. Here we go. 1, 2, start on C, and. Not bad. All right, so starting from the beginning, just up until there, this is what it should sound like. Make sure you start nice and strong on that first note, G. So here we go. 1, 2, So I'm hoping you were able to keep up with this current speed because this should be somewhere around 80, which was the speed we were using for our scales. Actually, 80 is a little bit faster, so let's slow it down just a tad. So let's try 70. Because even if you can play it separately, you want to make sure you still have it with a nice consistent tempo. So this is 70 beats per minute. Bum, bum, ba, rest. Bum, bum, ba, rest. Bum, 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 ba, ba, dum, bum, bum, ba, dum. So let's try it one more time. Same thing. 1, 2, start on G, ready, and. Alright, hope you got it. So now that we have that a little bit cleaner, and if not, you can pause it right now and just keep on working on that. But if you think you got it, let's keep going. So if you feel like you got that, the next part is pretty challenging because it starts on a high C and then it actually goes even higher. And some of these notes we haven't hit yet. So if you can't do it, that's perfectly fine, and we'll just work on building up that to that point. So the next part sounds like this. I have to have my music over here, so I'm gonna be looking this way now. So starting from measure 5 on that high C. So that's what it sounds like slow. But if I were to swing it, it would sound something like this. So that's around this speed. So first, let's figure out those notes. You have a C, G, C. Those are the first 3. Bum, bum, bum. Then it just goes even higher. D. And keep in mind, some of these higher notes aren't the same fingering as the low notes. So your high D will just be your first finger. But you know your low D is your first finger and third finger. So if you need to take the time to actually write in the numbers for some of these higher notes, feel free, go right ahead. And like I said, pause this video at any point, but let's continue. I'm assuming that you're just going to continue, so let's continue right here. One last time, let's take it slow. So C, G, C, D, E, G, E, F, D, O. Then it goes to the next line. So let's take it at this speed. Let's see if you can hit some of these notes. Every note gets one click. So C, G, C, D, E. Ready? Here we go. And your last note is a high E, just to let you know, hopefully you figure that out. And your high E is the same as your C and your G, still no fingers. But keep in mind your low E was 1 and 2. Your high E is no fingers. That's just how the trumpet works, because there's some partials where the fingerings won't actually like lock it in. So here's your low E, high E, so take your time. Hopefully this helps. But just for the end of this video, let me actually play the entire thing up to speed, and maybe this will help you out as well. But hope all this helps out. Here it is, the entire thing at this speed. So 1, 2, So I did mess up that last note, but I hope you got the point. Hope that all of this helps you out. Feel free to make this video even slower or pause and stop it at any time. But like I said, this is a typical practice session. So you know, 5 minutes on a warm-up, 5 to 10 minutes for the fundamentals, scales, 10 to like 15. And then for the song, hopefully 20 to like 30 minutes. So overall, it should be around like 30 minutes to an hour practice. So take care. See you next time.